Hey everybody, Tina Campbell, the New York Regional Partner of Master Networks. We're here to help. We're doing these lunch and learns to hopefully help business entrepreneurs, business owners to grow and pivot. And we'll discuss more of that with Barry during this difficult time and beyond, because I think these are going to really hold the test of time going forward. So some of these lunch and learns are getting, they're really getting interesting. We're going to talk to people about kind of transitioning to the new norm. So today I have Barry Dorfman. He's with me. He's awesome. And he's going to be talking about in these difficult times, what's happening right now, how to kick your business into the next gear and pivot. Welcome, Barry. How's it going?
It's going great, Tina. Thank you
Awesome.
for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us about yourself.
All right, so I am an insurance broker by trade. I've been in the business for 33 years. I work for a company called Hudson United Insurance based in Rockland County, but I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Florida, a few other states. I deal primarily in property and casualty, and I am personal and commercial. And and that's basically what I do for a living. I'm also heavily involved in my community. I serve on quite a few not-for-profit boards of directors, and I run a bunch of golf outings for not-for-profits to help raise funds so they can accomplish their mission. And I'm involved in a lot of different business groups and networking groups and community groups, and it's just how I get through my days. I stay heavily involved in the community, and I sell insurance to pay my bills.
It's funny because I call you, and I know you don't say it yourself, but you are definitely a super connector.
I've been told that's true. I mean, I think connecting people to each other is important. The key to that whole thing is you do it because it's the right thing to do. It helps people, and you literally zero out your expectations of a return. If that's the best part of it, when you really
Yeah.
free yourself from expecting anything back, and you just do it because you can. Then it's not only gratifying personally, but it does tend over time to get you a reputation as a connected person, and it does invariably open doors for you over the course of time. That's just one of the side benefits of being a connector. That's super.
So, I mean, when I think about it, it's like you've really that your whole, your life was about events and really connecting with people, on a face-to-face level. So you've really had to kind of change your business the last month or so.
Yes, we are living in extraordinarily different times than we were 3 or 4 months ago. My whole modus operandi was, I was everywhere. I love gatherings. I love networking. I love galas, business meetings, luncheons. I did a lot of networking that way. In fact, that was basically my primary source of doing business was networking and seeing people. And as everyone knows, that's gone. That's shut down. So I had to learn. And this is not the first time that we've had market slowdowns. In this particular case, we've never experienced anything like this. But there have been times in the past 30 years that there have been times where the market has slowed down and you had to figure out new ways of doing business.
Sure.
This one is so over the top, this situation we find ourselves in with the coronavirus, that I really had to rethink everything about how I'm doing business, because there are no social gatherings, there are no galas, there are no meetings outside of the Zoom meetings, which I absolutely love the fact that we have not only Master Network Zoom meetings, but a lot of the other groups that I'm involved with are starting to go to the technology-based Zoom meetings. So it's not quite exactly the same, but it's certainly a way to see each other's faces and at least kind of catch up with each other, make sure we all are doing well and are healthy and our families are healthy, but also a way to at least keep a finger on the pulse of some of the stuff that was going on prior to the shutdown of the economy, shutdown of all these social gatherings. So you have to learn. I had to learn, and everyone has to learn new ways of doing business. You have to be able to pivot. Now, the thing I find about a lot of people, and I'm not being judgmental, but it's just a fact that when things get rough and get tight, I find that a lot of people will retract and bunker down, kind of go into their little shell, their tortoise shell.
Isolate, right?
Isolate, and that actually, in my opinion, is not the thing that you have to do. In fact, you have to actually go the polar opposite and actually get out there more. You have to, people say, I don't want to work harder, I want to work smarter. You know what? You're going to actually have to do both. You're going to have to work smarter. You're going to have to work harder as well, because the key at this time, as far as I'm concerned, is that you want to try to at least maintain the level of business that you were doing prior to the crisis. Now, that's not going to apply to a lot of people who have businesses that are, say, retail or restaurants, things like that. That's not going to be this, this particular lunch and learn isn't going to help those kind of people, because if they had to close their doors because the government rules, then they had to close their doors, and then there's nothing you can do about it. But for people who are solopreneurs, people who are in marketing or sales like myself, the thing is you have to come up with new ways of trying to maintain or even succeed at times like this, which means you have to embrace things that you might not have embraced before. I'm relatively old school. I wasn't a real big social media guy. I was on LinkedIn. I was never on Facebook, but I had jumped into Facebook a little bit when I first came on board with Hudson United 6 months ago, primarily to get to my former clients from my former company, because I figured a lot of people are on LinkedIn, but a lot more are on Facebook. Right. But now I'm really starting to delve into Facebook and how I can use that to get to as many people as possible. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can, as fast as I can, to use that tool as a way to get in front of people. The LinkedIn part of it, I've been on LinkedIn for quite some time. I have about 2,400 connections, and a lot of those connections are former clients of mine. So, one thing that I said, okay, I can't see them at some of these things, so why don't I do this? Why don't I take a 2 or 3 day time frame and send each and every one of those people a LinkedIn message, which I had done about a month ago when this whole thing started. And I'm constantly getting people who I used to insure at another company reach out to me now, one, thanking me for reaching out to them, and two, and give me the opportunity to do business with them again, because they missed me from the days I was there.
Didn't know where you were.
I kind of, due to the no compete, I had dropped off the face of the map.
I have a question on that note, just to not to stop, but do you need the pro version of LinkedIn to do that, to send those notes?
No, I don't know what the pro version of LinkedIn is. Is that the one you pay for?
Yes.
No, I probably should look at that, and I may look at that.
If you hadn't needed it to this point, I was just curious as if that was a special thing.
I haven't needed it to this point, to my knowledge. I mean, I wouldn't be adverse to looking into it and possibly getting involved with that. What I am looking at is I am working with someone from another networking group I'm in, who is a social media expert, and I'm looking to spend some of my marketing dollars to hire her to be my social media person, because here's what I think is going to happen. And this is where we talked about what you really, one of the key messages you wanted me to convey. For those of you who golf, I mean, I'm a golfer, so, I don't know if you want to call it golfing. I'm on the golf course. I don't know what we can call it. It's something similar to golfing, but it's not quite
like golf. Yes.
But for anyone who swings a golf club, besides concentration, the other thing is it's muscle memory. You're teaching your body a certain swing so that when you get out on the golf course, you can recreate that swing. So in business, what you have to do is you have to teach yourself new ways of doing things right now. You have to teach yourself new techniques, new ways of trying to get to clients, new ways of trying to get new clients. One of the old school things is to always ask for referrals. You have to get into the habit of, if you've done something good for someone, why not ask for a referral? I
Right.
mean, you're not asking for 100 referrals, but everyone is home now. Everyone's connecting to their friends and their family, and if you do something really, really good for somebody in your world, in my world it's insurance, I mean, why wouldn't you say, hey, you must be talking to a brother or a sister or a cousin, a friend from, and maybe they haven't had a chance to have their insurance reviewed. All you're asking for is for one or two referrals from somebody. So
Yeah.
you have to get into asking for referrals. You have to start using the technology that's available, the Zoom calls, the LinkedIn, the Facebook, the Instagram. I don't do Instagram yet, but I'm sure it's something I'll probably get
Yeah.
into
And
down the road. You have to do as much different things as you possibly can to try to keep yourself head above water, even
yep.
keel, or maybe lose a little, or maybe even gain. Because here's what you're doing: you're teaching yourself muscle memory. That's where the golf swing analogy comes in. You're teaching yourself ways of doing business that you might not have been doing before. So here's the good news: when this thing is in our rear view mirror, as long as you've created all these new ways of doing business, okay, not only will we go back to the old ways of gatherings, but we don't really know what that's going to look like. And we're not going to know what that's going to look like for probably 6 months to a year before our new normal sets in.
Right.
But if you have taught yourself all these new different techniques and ways of trying to maintain, or when the market does turn around and things open up, you're going to have an exponential growth in your business that you have probably never experienced before, because you were able to succeed at times when things are at their worst.
Right.
So all it's going to mean is that when things get better and you just keep moving at the pace you've been moving and doing the things you've been doing, then your business will bounce back much, much bigger than it was before we hit the wall with the coronavirus. So that's just something that I wanted to convey out there. That's how you pivot. You have to keep an open mind. You have to try things. Some things will work, some things won't, but you got to keep going at it. You got to wake up early in the morning as if you're going to work, and stay to a routine, and pound at it as best you can. And then, like I said, you teach yourself some new things. And for everyone, it's going to be different, but you got to find 2 or 3 things that are going to help you stay the course now, and then when things get better, you are going to see a massive explosion in your business. I can guarantee it.
I totally agree with you. I've been trying to convey this message, which is one of the reasons when you said it, and I heard you say it in a meeting, I was like, yes, because you feel like there's so many people, like you said, are retracting, and they're going into that kind of turtle, and they're isolating themselves from the community of business people that we're kind of all in. And I'm so scared for them, because I don't think that it's going to, number one, it doesn't help their business, it doesn't help them in their mindset. And they're turning around, and I know some people have, it's so difficult, they have children at home, they're homeschooling, there's so many things, and there's so many factors, so it's so hard, it's easy for us to say.
That's
but
true.
but don't you think that, rather than maybe, like, for instance, I was talking with somebody else about binge watching something. Hey, that's great if that's keeping your mind off of something, but what about teaching yourself a new skill? Rather than binge watching, like, God forbid, the news, right?
Hmm.
Get out there and to talk with other business people. You could call a business friend on the phone, or Zoom with somebody, to try to get, like, hey, what do you think I could do? You know,
How about this? I mean, here's an idea, and it's going really, really well. I actually came in to my office one day last week. We're allowed to come and go as long as we're not here for too long.
yeah,
And I actually went through all the files, and wrote down all my clients and their phone numbers, that I've acquired since I've been here. and I am reaching out to them simply to say, I'm thinking about you. Are you okay? Is your family okay? There's no agenda or motive other than just to let them know that I was thinking about them and that I wanted to just check in and see how you're doing. You're
Yep.
not looking for leads. You're not asking for leads or referrals. You're just calling people just to be human and just to check in and say, hey,
Yeah.
I was thinking about you. We did business together. You're part of my flock of clients now. And I just wanted to just make sure that you're okay, because that I can't tell you the response I'm getting, how people are so appreciative of the fact that, I mean, I'm in some cases, I've known these people for a long, long time, and in some cases, they're relatively new to me. But
Right.
just the fact that I would pick up the phone and make that phone call is making such an impression on them. They're so thankful to have
Right.
someone call and check in on them that they might not have expected. So there's an idea that people can go with. And yes, I'm in a different boat as you are. I have older children and they're all young adults, so I'm not teaching, I'm not homeschooling, and I'm not
Right.
trying to juggle six balls at a time. But if you can find the discipline to set a specific time during the day for that phone call or for lead generation phone calls, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have to figure something out because we are stuck inside at least to the end of April. I personally think it's going to be to the end of May before they start to loosen the social distancing thing.
Right.
And so we've got a little ways to go here. So
Right. So
now would be the,
pivoting,
huh?
pivoting is key. And one of the things
Yeah,
that, I really like what you said, because I totally believe in, so I call them care calls versus cold calls, right? Care calls.
yeah, that's a good,
Just hello, I've been calling Master Networks members and just at least leaving a message. The
sure.
ones that we haven't seen, I get concerned when you have, when you look at your community of, whoever that is, whether it's your family, business people, or networking, whatever it is, to the people that you're not seeing, try to make that care call. To say, are you okay? Because I think that those are the people that, again, like you said, will super appreciate it, because they may need to hear from you that day.
Right. And here's another idea that if it's feasible and doable for people, um, it covers so much ground. The best thing I can say about Americans is that when things are at their worst, Americans are at their best. That you hear so many stories besides the frontline EMTs and the
Right.
firefighters and now the hospital workers and the grocery store stockers and everything, the people who are rising to the occasion, and the retirees coming, medical retirees coming
That's
out of retirement,
amazing.
volunteering, going to the front lines.
Yeah.
But just the other people you hear about, volunteering, adopting pets. Um, there's a saying that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
I love that.
So if you could find the time to go out and to volunteer for, say, like a Meals on Wheels or People to People, a food bank, a distribution center for, find a way to volunteer, and people get to know you as you, not as you, the salesperson, you, the person who does insurance or the person who
Yes.
does real estate, but the person who is out there working, volunteering their time and energy to help others. um, they're going to say, well, I know this person as a person. And if they do, they show up on time, they work hard, they do what they say they're going to do.
Yep.
They don't, and they're going to turn around and say, well, if that's not the way they do that thing, then that's the way they probably do their job. So I do need a realtor. I do need a new insurance person.
Yeah.
So it opens the,
When this is all cleared, it's not necessarily going to be business as usual or as it was.
not at
People are
all.
going to be like, who was there? So Barry, one of the things I have to tell you is why I love speaking to you. I totally agree with everything you said. It's really amazing to me. I really do have that I really appreciate what you do and how you do it, and it's like everything that I agree with you wholeheartedly. And one of the
Thank
things you're an amazing, again, community leader. So what I'd love to do in the comment section that's going to be below this video is to have some of those, your food bank, where people can donate to the food bank,
Sure.
there in Rockland County. And so you'll give me those links to put in there. And if anybody can certainly donate, or volunteer, do whatever you can do at this time for the community and in where you are in Rockland, we'll put those links
Well, what
down
I'm going
there.
to do is there was a really good email sent out this morning from Deanna Tracy from the United Way of Rockland, and there was ways you can volunteer, and
Fantastic.
it was 7 different ways. One was, Drive for Meals on Wheels. One was help distribute food. There's one thing tomorrow that there are truckloads of food coming into a specific location. So from 7:30 to 2 tomorrow, you can go there and help distribute food.
Right.
It's obviously the pallets are separated by 6 feet, and you're going to be in masks and gowns and gloves,
Right.
and you're going to be loading because the trucks can't go to the food banks, so the food banks are sending vehicles to this distribution center, and they need people to load the food
Right.
into the cars. So there's a
So
bunch of different things. I'll send you that email when we hang
yeah,
up.
and I'll take the pieces in it because this recording will be in a few days from now. So once we
Okay.
get all of your information, but I'm sure they're going to be doing this, you know, every week, month, parts, whatever they're going to be doing. So we'll get people to try to sign up for that. So I just
Sure.
really want to say thank you, Barry, for spending this time with
Welcome.
me. I really appreciate it. You're really, you're like a big teddy bear. And you know what I mean? It's just
Please.
like that's what I just, you're such a nice person, and I really appreciate everything that you do for
You're
your
welcome. Do you
community.
need my contact information to?
Yeah, so we're just gonna say we're gonna sign off on this, and I'm gonna add all of your contact information to the bottom
Sure.
comments when we put it out. So thank you so much for everything. Thank you
My
for
pleasure.
being a great human being.
Well, thank you for the opportunity, and
Absolutely.
ditto. You're one of the best
Oh,
people I know.
oh, thanks, dear. I appreciate that. Okay, thanks.